So we're moving into this .anything space. And for all of the millions of companies out there who don't know this is happening, who couldn't apply for a TLD and never will, there's a lot of opportunity to help them build their digital experience in this new and expanding internet environment. But that's what we have to ask ourselves, is what are we standing on the edge of now that we can't see and that we don't know? And how do we push ourselves to think disruptively about what could come because of these new gTLDs? So bringing it a little bit closer to where we are today, what's happening now so that we can start to predict these trends? Well, we know right now we've come a long way, because in 60 seconds on the internet, there are hundreds of thousands of search queries occurring, hundreds of thousands of Skype calls, blogs being formed, you name it. We are living our lives in the digital space. And yet some other trends are starting to occur that even take us further. Some universities have actually stopped issuing email. That's how far we've come in 20 years. I have had the good fortune over the last couple of years to be researching brands, talking with companies like Microsoft and P&G and Kraft Foods, and a lot of companies who did apply and many companies who didn't. So I've researched them in writing a book and in working with them, and want to share that perspective. So what typically happens for me when I walk into a brand is they've hired me to come in and educate, usually their top executives across multiple disciplines within the company. And they've hired me to brief them on what's happening and then facilitate discussions to help them think disruptively, to identify opportunities. So just to give you a little bit of the lay of the land of what happens in these meetings and these brands, there's usually a number of people in the room. And they're all coming at this with some skepticism and cynicism and their own predisposed opinions. So imagine for a second sitting in a room with some IT professionals, and they're thinking about this, thinking, you know what? It's hard enough for me to manage hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of pages within our website structure. I don't even want to think about now moving all of this over to a top-level domain. And by the way, whose budget is this coming out of? And what we know is that these digital marketers, all of these brands, are now dealing with all of these facts, that they have to cross platforms. It's not just about the domain online experience, it's about what's happening in social, it's about what's happening in mobile, and it's about the holistic digital experience. That's how brands are starting to look at this, and that's how it's going to incorporate into their strategic thinking. And I love that question, why not? And that's a hard question to ask in a room full of C-suite executives who are wondering whose budget is this coming out of. So to push them to think disruptively, to push you to think disruptively, we have to be willing to ask that question. Why not? What are the possibilities? What could happen? And where are the opportunities for all of us? So it's not hard to imagine a world down the road where people are surfing channels of the internet instead of their cable box. So for big networks, like ABC and CBS and Dish Network and Comcast and HBO, this made a lot of sense for them to move in that space. Same with entertainment and sports. That's their industry, is distributing content. But there are a lot of companies who didn't, like the PGA didn't, the NHL didn't, Disney didn't, NBC didn't. So again, the opportunity comes in to what they may do. Because if those companies start to market to consumers to only trust the .brand, what are all those other companies going to do? They're going to need someone who will develop a safe space for them that allows them to have some authenticity. So other financial companies like MasterCard and Wells Fargo who didn't apply. None of the celebrities applied, and they face problems with counterfeiting and authenticity all the time. And then most of the major franchises like Fridays and Domino's and Starbucks, none of them applied. So what are they going to do? That's where there's opportunity.